Hello. Hopefully my face stays, because in the last video I had it recorded halfway, you could see my face, and then when I tried to mess around with the Facebook group, it just cut my face off, and it cut my face off for all of it, which is really sad because you wasn't able to see this. But here I am back, and we are going over your targets and helpful habits. So keep doing that arrow thing. So the first target will be your calories. As you know, you need to be in a calorie deficit to lose body fat, which is the majority of you guys, all of you guys have that goal of losing body fat. So I have set these personal to you, and they are based on your dieting history, adherence, lifestyle, and goals. What I mean by this is, in other words, is that if you told me that you have been dieting all your life and you really struggle with the binge and restrict cycle, then I am not going to put you on a highly huge deficit. The idea is that I'm going to put you on a moderate deficit so you feel like you're not being restricted, and then the idea is that because you're going to be consistent with that, you will then get results. What would happen is, if I put someone that had a poor relationship with food on a really low calorie diet, then they're gonna be on low calories for a couple of days and then overeat on the weekend or whenever, and that is not what we want. That is not helpful. So that is why doing your your custom forms is really helpful for me to see where you're at with your relation with food and calories. So you can do your calories on a weekly average. So what I mean by that is, you would have your calorie target, say it was 1600, you could do 1600 times 7, and you could know, as long as I eat these calories in 1 week, I am absolutely fine. I will still be in the deficit that Rebecca wants me to be in, and that will work. I would recommend, so this strategy is called calorie cycling. Some people love it, some people hate it. I personally think that for balance, I love it. So I had one coach, she was not a fan of doing this. I think her ethos is that it creates like a binge restrict cycle, but actually eating a little bit less on the weekday and eating a bit more on the weekend is really normal. It's really normal human behaviour. So I'm very much a fan of it. But there is taking the piss. Now, if you're telling me that you're eating 1,200 calories every day, and then so that you can eat 3,000 on the weekend, that is equivalent of like overeating, and you don't need to do that. You just need to strike a little bit of balance, and the chances are you probably won't be getting results with that. So what I would recommend is, don't go anything under 10%. So for example, if your calories are 1,600, I wouldn't want you to go lower than 1,440. As a general rule of thumb, think anything under 1,500 makes it very difficult. Now, I can say this from experience from my one-to-one clients and myself. For myself, so for reference, I diet on about 1,600 calories, okay? I will calorie bank, and I have personally found for myself that if I eat less than 1,550, I am hungry, and I don't really want to be hungry. Now, if I don't diet on that, I am not hungry. Now, the other thing to that as well is that it gave me little room for maneuver on the weekdays. I had to be very regimented. I had to eat certain foods every day in order to hit my targets. So you know what, I'm not going to sit and say don't do it, because also I've got a client who eats 1,400 calories during the week, has a little bit more on the weekend, is doing absolutely amazing. So it is very different, but I would just use your common sense on this. Trial it. If it works, it doesn't. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. The reason why I say don't go over 20% if calorie cycling is because it can it is very easy then to create that all or nothing mindset, and that on binge and restrict without even trying. So 20% of 1,600 would be like, you would have calories of 1,920, and FYI, that would be most people's maintenance. So actually what you're doing is you're just kind of teaching yourself how to eat at maintenance. Now, there will be realms to this. For example, if you're going out for a meal, then you know what, you might need a little bit more calories, because the average meal in the UK is 900 calories. The average meal in the US is 1,200. So you can imagine you probably will need a little bit more during the week. But this is where me coaching you is going to be really helpful, because this is a skill. Calorie counting is a skill, and this is a skill as well, and it's different for everyone. So for example, like for me, I calorie cycle when I'm dieting. I find it, so if I'm working, so I'm a night shift worker, I think I've mentioned it before, but I work nights as a vet or a veterinary nurse, and the first day of my night shift, I find it very easy to eat like lower calories, so I will deliberately bank. The day after, I really struggle, because I'm basically up from the night, I have a little bit of sleep, and we know that sleep affects your adherence. I really struggle. So there's no bloody way that I'm going to be calorie cycling on that day. So I have my calories distributed and depending on me. But that has taken me time to figure that out. And that's where the self-awareness, what I'm saying about the accountability, you will find that too. So with the protein, this is a habit that I want you to get good at. I want you to have 20 to 30 grams of protein per serving. 25 to 30 is optimal, especially if fat loss is your goal, especially 30 grams. There's a lot of information out there saying that your body can only have a certain amount of protein before it goes to waste. That threshold seems to be about 40 grams. But if you do have a meal, so for my dinner, most of my dinners are about 60 grams of protein, just because that's just how it ends up being for me. And it works. Is it going to be most optimal? Would it be more optimal for me to split it? Yes, but ultimately it doesn't really matter. I really want you to aim for 3 to 4 grams of 3 to 4 servings of protein per day. This is for satiety and growth, and for muscle growth synthesis, because that is how muscle protein synthesis, because that is how we build muscle. And it also prevents lean tissue breakdown and as I said, and it builds muscle. So with protein, I should have put this in the slideshow. You will all get given individual protein targets, but I don't want anyone getting less than 80 grams per day, and for no excuse. There's no excuse for it, even if you're eating out. So I understand, like, if you're eating out, you might have a little bit less of a protein target. I want your non-negotiables to be 80 grams of protein, and then I am happy, have your protein targets that your individual diet be going for. That might change as well. Like, don't think that these might not be set in stone. Your protein might be set in stone. If someone's struggling with hunger, I'll put more protein in. If someone's struggling with adherence, like because they have to eat out a lot for work, I might lower it a little bit. So it really depends, but this is a general rule of thumb. There's no reason why people can't get 3 to 4 servings of 20 to 30 grams of protein per day. Even 3, that's just breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and a high protein snack. Easy peasy. Everyone is capable of doing that. So steps, everyone has the same goal as 10 to 12k per day. I have mentioned on the other video that, look, I know that some people might not even do 2,000 steps a day, especially if you're trapped in an office job and then you get home, you've got to look after the kids, or you've got to look after a loved one. Like, I get it. So we will take this with a pinch of salt, and then hopefully by the 8 weeks you will be able to find a rhythm for that. I will do a webinar later on about, not this side, but maybe next week, on how to get your steps in, because there is tips and tricks you can do. So you can do your weekly total as 70 to 84k. Now, being completely honest, and this is based on it's not based on evidence, it's just based on, you can use the evidence on logic of, like, the more steps you do, the more energy balance the more of the energy expenditure you admit, which means you'll be in a higher deficit. So there's the science, but there's no actual science to say the optimal rate of fat loss. I get the best results for myself when my steps are between 13 and 15k, but that is because I am quite a small woman. I am 5 foot. I'm 5'2.5". Okay, I'm taking that half. Also, with it's tricky, because I don't want to sit and say, if you're a small woman, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. But it's just it's just being completely honest that 12k for fat loss is optimal. And the great thing about steps is that it doesn't really take that much effort to do it. Even if you're tired, you can go out and get your steps. You can get a walking pad, you can do a little bit extra after the gym. Like, you can find what works for you. Then what you actually find is that steps ends up being something that you actually enjoy. Believe it or not, it ends up being something you enjoy. Now, a practical tip is that you can, 10 minutes of walking is about 1,000 to 1,300 steps. Now, the good news is that when you get fitter, and you will get fitter the more you keep up with this will soon become this. 10 minutes will then be 1,000. When I was at my most optimally cardiovascular health, that is not a word, but you know what I mean, like, basically when I was very fit, when I was my lean, I was actually my most fittest. I was doing about 1,300 steps, 1,300 steps in 10 minutes, and I wasn't breaking a sweat. Now, can I go back? I can go back, yay. Now I get about 1,100. So it just goes to show, the more fitter you are, the easier it gets. So a good practical tip is that 2 to 3 10-minute walks per day will get you, if you're doing 3,000 naturally, that will get you to 10,000 steps. And 10 minutes walks per day, that's just one meal walk after a meal, which is nothing. It's nothing in the grand scheme of things. So that would be my tip. As I said, you can work them out as a weekly total. So, for example, someone who is in the office and is really struggling to get 10,000 steps in, you could not do 10,000, you could do 8,000, and then you just do one nice extra long walk with your family, with your dog, on your own, with a podcast on the weekend, and make that sort of your habit. I would really want you to, for minimum, getting 8k per day for metabolic health, even if you are sticking to this. I wouldn't want you to do 3,000 steps a day to then do like 1,000 steps, because again, that's kind of binge and restricting around exercise effectively, or just neat, like just moving around, which might not be the healthiest. But also for metabolic health, we need that consistency, that consistent momentum. So being sedentary for a couple of days to then move isn't going to get the best bang for your buck. So a minimum of 8k will be very, very helpful. Other habits I want you to get into is 5 portions of fruit and veg per day. I know, roll your eyes, everyone says that, but it's so bloody important. You need a rainbow on your plate. It's so important for macronutrients. It's micronutrients, so important for vitamins and minerals. I cannot stress it enough. I know, okay, you can take multivitamins, but you're not going to get the most bioavailability from a multivitamin than you are eating the whole thing. More importantly, with fruit and veg is the fiber, the volume. Our body is designed to eat a certain amount of food. Why do you think in the jungle, like when we were gorillas, we were omnivores? Why do you think, we've got herbivores that graze? Why do you think the Mediterranean diet is one of the most recognised healthiest diets? It's because we are prone to eat a certain amount of food. Now, if you're not getting your fruit and veg, which is the most easiest way to get low calorie, a lot of food on your plate, then you are going to be deprived of that, and your body, as I said, is designed to eat a certain amount of food, and then that is where your body will think, oh, it's not getting the veggies in, I'll have an extra slice of pizza, or I'll have that chocolate after the meal. So if you can get your fruit and veg in, you will feel satisfied. You've just got to find the veg and fruit that works for you. Like, for example, I've got a client who can't stand fruit, so we give her extra veg. So, and also with the meal plans I will go on to later, I will explain exactly how you can do it. It's so much easier than what people think. And I speak this from personal experience. I remember when I first started, even on Slimming World, I wasn't getting 5 portions of fruit and veg a day. Now I get about 8. I get about 8 a day without even trying, but just because it becomes a normal habit on my day. Fiber is a goal that I want to. It's not really spoken about enough, but it's really important. You need fiber for your gut health. You need fiber for your mental health. You need fiber for just staying full. It's proven to help with weight management. So when you lose the weight, it's proven to like lose weight and to keep it off. So this is so important. 25 to 30 grams per day. If you're in a deficit, I will accept 25, but ideally we want to aim for 30. Men need like 38, which I think is a lot, but then they are allowed a little bit more food. So 3 to 4 meals per day. This is just for society, and like, without going into it all much, because I know blood sugar is like a huge thing at the moment, and I don't want to give people the misconception, but your body will naturally go like this. It will naturally go with your glucose, sorry. It will naturally go like that. That is normal. It is normal to do that. When you're eating big meals, say you only had 2 meals, it's going to go like that, then it's going to go like that, then it's going to go like that, then it's going to go like that. Unless you're really, really, really thinking about those meals that you're eating, that's what will happen. And that's where you get the crashes and the really, really dramatic glucose curves. So 3 to 4 meals is just going to help stop that from happening, stop that like carbohydrate crash, and also it's just going to keep you satisfied. And then the most important one, I think, is water. So water is like the big building blocks of life. Like, you learn that as a kid, and it is true. So I really want people to call themselves out on this. Like, I need to fill this up. I know that this is 500 mils, so I know that 4 of these is going to get me my 2 litres, so I keep track of it. When I am not keeping track of it, I am very, very bad at like not just saying that I'm having water and actually I'm not. And also, don't think that you need to just drink water. Like, water's gross. I always joke that I would be dead if I was in the wild, because I just don't like water. I have to have squash in it, and like, you can't really get a river and start putting like little squeezy juices in the river, can you? So I would be dead. But there's no reason, we are not in the wild. So if you want to add water, then if you want to add juice to it or squash, you are okay to do so. Just make sure that it's sugar free, because not that you can drink your calories, you can drink your calories if you want, but having 50 calories of squash is a waste, in my opinion. So I can't actually see what that says. Oh, there we go. I don't mind how you make up the rest of your calories, as long as the protein and fiber is met. Fat needs to be, okay, this is important. Fat needs to be a minimum of 0.5 kilograms 0.5 grams to kilograms per day for hormone production. You're a woman, like everyone in this course is a woman. You need to have a minimum of 0.5 grams per kilogram per day. This is for like a healthy BMI. If you're overweight, you can base it on your BMI of like 25. Just say. So, for grand scheme of things, I'll just say my weight because it doesn't really matter. I haven't weighed in a while, but I think I'm like 62 kilos. So if you do quick maths, I need about 30 grams of fat a day. Now, obviously, the odd day where you don't get that, that's fine. But as a general rule of thumb, you need that. And this is from personal experience. I've given you a bit of a back story with my dieting history. 2 years ago, I was in a bit of a extreme. Well, no, not even 2 years ago. A year ago, I was in a bit of an extreme dieting phase, and I was eating about 20 grams of fat per day because I was on quite low calories and I really needed to find a way to bulk out my meals so that I wasn't starving, and as a result my fats got quite low. It was fine until about 3 months in of this extreme dieting, and I really did notice it. Now, when I mean notice it, like, I don't have a menstrual cycle because I'm on the coil, but I won't go into my personal relationship story, but you can imagine, like, that side was affected, just general like hormone production. My skin got really flaky and dry. I really had low energy. I really noticed it. And then I spoke to someone about it, and it was because I was just eating low fat for such a long period of time. So yes, when you get into the sticks of dieting, it can be really tempting to cut out fat, because 1 gram of fat is 9 calories, where 1 gram of protein and carbs is 4. So you can imagine you're going to get double the amount. You'll get double the amount of calories in carbs and protein than you will fat. But it doesn't mean you should be neglected. And I will do another video on it. But fat, as well as I noticed, actually does keep you fuller for longer. Like, if you place it in with a carbohydrate, it reduces the gastric emptying. So that means is that it stays in your stomach, so you're not feeling hungry all the time. So what I just added this onto this is, what tracker should I use? So I would prefer you guys to use Nutracheck, and I think it's called Calorie Counting App on Android and Apple. I prefer it over to MyFitnessPal because it's a lot more visual. It doesn't connect to the app, so the Trainerize app that I'm going to set you up with, it doesn't connect to it. But it's better. It's so much better. I don't know why people like MyFitnessPal, but there we go. If you're sitting on the fence, use Nutracheck. It is £3.99 a month. I know you have to pay for it, but I'm telling you, it's worth it. It just makes tracking so much easier. A little hint as well is, pay for it for the first month. Don't pay for it yearly. Then they give you like a pop-up discount of like 25 quid. Take it. 25 quid for the year is amazing. That's what I would recommend. I said I've left a video tutorial on a document. I'm hoping I can get that synced in. I think I'm going to have to put it on YouTube. I'm going to have to like try and make a YouTube account and deal with it. But the idea is that it just gives you a little rundown. But being honest, you're best learning by logging in and playing around with it. The reason why I love Nutracheck is that you can see your meals easily, and it gives you a breakdown of calories and fats. So if you go onto this, so these are just screenshots. Like, for example, as the chicken, I type it in, all nice and visual, really pretty, really great. You can barcode as well. Can't go back. Yes, I can. Look, you can literally click that barcode and you type in the barcode as well. Like, you can scan it just like you can MyFitnessPal. You can literally type in as a chicken, it'll come up with loads of stuff. You can literally type in the grams that you need. So say you had 41 grams of it, you could type in 41 without being clunky, without being fussy. Then I don't know if you can see, you can't see it on this one because it's figured it out. If you click the bottom of this down here at the bottom, you will see the nutritional breakdown of everything. So you can see how many grams of protein it would get, even if it's not on here. You can see how much fiber you're going to be getting from it. So it's really helpful here, because I know that I have got some American people on here, which is so exciting. I actually have one American client, so I was going to say congratulations, but hello if you are from overseas. I'm super excited to have you. But the great thing about Nutracheck is they have recently done a US version of it, and I am terrible. I go onto the US version just for fun. I just like looking at all the American foods, like especially their takeaway options. Like, it just fascinates me. So there is a US version of it as well, so you don't need to use MyFitnessPal even if you are from the US. I love this as well because you can customize your nutrition choices. So as you can see on here, I've got calories, protein, fat, and carbs. You can change it to have like your fiber. You can have it as fat, carbs, whatever you fancy. You can customize it, and then on the app as well, you can just like change it as you go. So it's quite good. Oh, I've got a little thing in my throat. Oh, am I okay? I'm okay. I'm just carrying talking. So, meal 1, meal 2, meal 3, meal 4, meal 5. That is how I've done it, because when I was like proper dieting, I was eating like 5 meals a day. But you can just sort of like, you can change it. You can put like a snack. You can put snack 1, snack 2. Just makes layout. It just makes everything so pretty and so nice. And what I like about it as well is you can write your notes. So for me, I was really into like, when I was really busy, I'd have to think about when I was going to eat. So, for example, if I had an appointment and I knew my appointment was at 2 and I normally eat at 2, I would just put on my notes. So on that day, I could have a little look. So that is one of the benefits of a NutriCheck. But my best advice is just to play around with it. So this is really important. If you are new to tracking, just use your first week as getting used to the app. Don't get hung up about sticking to your calorie target. Use this week as the opportunity to see what your foundations are. Even if you go over your calories, even if you go under, it's just going to give you a base. If you don't know what to eat, so I've got a new client starting, and I've tried this approach really well. I said, just take what you would normally take, weigh it out, put it in, don't overthink it. Because actually we can then see what your foundations are, which then the week after we can actually then get closer to your target. But then we know, oh, okay, you know what, my breakfast is 600 calories, which leaves me a little bit less on the week on the dinner. Okay, how do I get less than 600 calories? Oh, you know what, maybe I only need 40 grams of granola instead of 70, as an example. So I would just say the first week, don't get so hung up on not being able to hit your calories. I would much rather you just use the week as getting used to the tracking, getting used to what it is. Because at the end of the day, calorie counting is a skill. It takes time. Calorie counting, it's a skill, because there is calories in food. It's not like Slimming World where they're just like, that's a sin, that's a sin, that's a sin. It does it all for you. You do have to put a little bit of effort and work into it. But the benefit is that you're going to actually learn about energy balance. And you do calorie counting for 8 weeks, you will know what's in food pretty quickly, and you will be able to make good old guesstimates to the point where you might not even need to use calorie counting, and you can just sort of estimate it in your head from then on, as long as you stick to your habits. But that's a different thing. So anyway, what I'm trying to get at is, don't get too hung up if you go over your calories for the first week. It's just about finding out what's working, what's not working, and then we can assess the week after. So coming off this video, and then your last video is coming up.